So, Fantastic Four. A lot of people are saying that this film is not very good, that you shouldn't even bother seeing it, that there were post-production problems, which, yeah, I'm sure there were. But personally, I don't see why people are hating on this movie so much. I don't understand why people aren't going to see it. The only reason I can think of is that the last two films of the Fantastic Four were kind of a joke. This one, though, I thought was a lot better. And I'm not even a fan of the Fantastic Four. I'm a big fan of Marvel movies. Obviously, this is not a Marvel movie at the moment. But I have to say, considering it's not a Marvel movie, they did a really good job. And the actors, which I've had to write down because I'm no good at remembering actors' names, but you've got Miles Teller as Reed Richards. You've got Kate Mara as Susan Storm. Michael B. Jordan as the Human Torch. Jamie Bell as the Thing, and Toby Kebbell as Doom. Now, of all the characters, the only one which really interests me is the Thing. I never had much time for Doom, or pretty much any of the others, to be honest. But now, they've actually changed that with this film. And like I said, I don't understand all the hate for it. Doom in the other films is presented as being a guy who's a baddie just for the sake of it. You know, he's kind of flamboyant, he thinks he's clever but never really shows himself as being very clever. I mean, in the comics, although I don't follow the Fantastic Four, I am aware of the fact that Doom is one of the most powerful Marvel villains, and one of the most loved. He looks awesome, and he's immensely powerful. He's just not that in the old films. He's an eccentric weirdo who can control electricity and electrocute spoons. So what? In this film, he is genuinely cool. And for once, they've actually done the story in such a way that him being a crazy villain makes perfect sense. So basically, I tried to do these reviews without spoilers. Now, I am going to give you a few plot points, but they're not going to spoil anything. Basically, what I'm about to tell you, you can see from the trailers anyway. In this story, they don't go out into space and get hit by cosmic rays. They go to a different dimension. And in this dimension, there's a lava-type substance, which is basically made of pure energy. Now, one of them does something which causes this lava to erupt. And on the way back, Doom, played by Toby Kebbell, who I think is actually perfectly cast as Doom. Before the film, I couldn't care less about the casting of Doom because I didn't like the character. But he is perfectly cast. Doom is not an eccentric weirdo. He's a nerd. He's genuinely at least as intelligent in the film as Reed Richards, which is exactly how he should be shown. And he's just the kind of guy who you want to punch in the face. And that's the kind of person who Doom should be, but not in the way of the last film. The Thing, for me, is still my favourite character in the film. Not only did they get the look of the Thing, the sound of his voice, the CGI, everything just spot on. The story involving the four of them, including, of course, the Thing, is really well written. I don't know if it's based on a comic, because, like I said, I don't follow the Fantastic Four comics. But the story all makes very good sense. I mean, within the realm of a superhero film, of course. It makes sense. It's a clever story. And for me, the best casting in the film is Jamie Bell as the Thing. I thought he did a great job in a film called The Eagle. He does a great job in this one as well. He plays a good part of an outsider who never really feels like he's part, finally gets this ability that makes him valuable to someone, in this case, the military, and goes with that. Couple that to the fact that something happens between the four of them that makes them less than friends, and like I said, it's just really well written. It all makes sense. What happens with Doom makes perfect sense as well. The amount of time that he spends and that it takes for him to become Doom makes so much more sense than the last film. The last film, like I said, is stupid. He just becomes a villain for the sake of it. In this one, you can completely understand why he would go power mad. It makes perfect sense, and you can even kind of sympathise with the guy in this film. One of the things which I need to point out is about the trailer. In the trailer, I did not like the way Doom looked. I thought his face looked plasticky and cheap compared to the last film. I have to say, there's a reason for that. And I'm not going to tell you what the reason is, because, as I said, this is a no-spoiler review. But it, again, it's very well written, it makes sense, and it justifies the look perfectly. And as it happens, in the film, he actually doesn't look bad at all. He looks very cool, and he is exactly as powerful as Doom should be. Far more powerful than in the last two films. So overall, I do not understand why there's so much hate for this film. I don't understand why it had such a bad opening weekend. And I think that this film, over time, is possibly going to become something like the Iron Giant kind of film, where I think possibly months or years from now, people are going to actually appreciate this film when they finally get round to seeing it, because people just aren't seeing it at the moment, and it's their loss. If you have a chance to go and see the Fantastic Four in the cinema, I would definitely recommend that you do so, because it's probably one of my favourite superhero films. I went in with no expectations whatsoever, and it really delivered. Is it the Avengers? Of course not. Nothing is the Avengers. Not even the Avengers 2 was the Avengers. But I would say that this film was, to me, better than Iron Man. That's obviously personal preference. I prefer this film to Iron Man. Like I said, the third act was a little bit rushed, but apart from that, I thought it was excellent. And if you get the chance, definitely check it out, because it's a severely underappreciated, underrated movie, and it deserves a chance. So if you're a superhero fan or a comic book fan or just an action fan in general, it's a great film. So that's about all there is to say, really. So as always, thanks for watching.
Shut up and sit down.